Hey, it's Hutch from Hutch Reacts. Still working on the exhaust on the 87 Olds 442. That's over on the main channel. That's Hutch High Perf. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, you want to hop over there, give me a like and subscribe there too. That'd be great. Really need to get some subscriptions here so I can get monetized. Just this is how YouTube works. Let me turn off this welder real quick. What do I want to talk about today? Well, I don't know if you guys are familiar with how expensive it is to go to college. I got a couple of interesting things here that I want to go over. Yeah, I'm not very sophisticated. It's a piece of paper. I wrote everything down. I could have like a split screen, but I might get around to it sooner or later. But for right now, let's kind of go through what it was and where we're at. And you'll see how the government, in its infinite wisdom, fixes problems that don't exist to make it worse for you. So anyway, so it says here, and I'll post an image of what I'm reading here, but until the late 70s, student loans were treated like most debt in the bankruptcy proceeding. There were no special rules for student debt, and a discharge was a straightforward process. So things first changed for borrowers in 1976 when Congress passed a law prohibiting the discharge of federal student loans within 5 years of graduation unless it would cause the borrower an undue hardship. Now they based this off of the idea that there was going to be all these people, or there were all these people that were getting loans through the federal government, getting a full education, and as soon as they graduate, they just file bankruptcy, and then they just got free education and they move on down the road. In actuality, at the time that the law was written, there was less than 1% of federal borrowers that sought bankruptcy. So right away, they were fixing a problem that didn't exist. Why would they fix a problem that didn't exist? Could it be the banks that were saying, we'd like to be a little secure in these loans? All right, don't know, but there it is. So at the same time, around the same time, there was a case, it was Bruner versus New York, and it defined the terms. This was based off a Supreme Court ruling. It defined the terms on exactly what undue hardship meant. And it basically broke it down into 3 barriers that you had to jump over to be able to say that you were in an undue hardship. And if you failed any one of those 3, you were going to be paying all that money. All right, so then we move along. Okay, also that change in the law was signed into law by President Ford. Okay, so that's kind of important because a lot of people out there think, well, it's the Republicans, they're the evil guys. No, it's the Democrats, they're the evil guys. The evil is just sometimes just government in general, right? People in power, banks, lobbyists, all these people, just they petition Congress, and Congress passes laws in their favor to make it better for them. And where do we end up in that? We end up here. Okay, so then we move on to the 80s. So Ronald Reagan was elected, and as president, his administration lowered the Pell Grants that were created a system where Congress pushed for more college costs into the loans for both students and parents. So basically, they took a lot of the funding out of the Pell Grant and then put the onus on the students and the parents to try to pay for the education. So then removing the limits on borrowing also factored into the upward spiral of costs. So then now it's you get a 4-year degree in basket weaving that you're never going to use and you can't make a living from. It's going to cost you the same as if you got an engineering degree. It's kind of just, it's based on credit hour, and it might take you more hours to get an engineering degree, so you're going to pay more money, but the costs are, it's crazy. Anyway, so that was Reagan. Reagan pushed all that through. So then in 90, Congress changed there was that 5-year payment. So if you got a federal loan, you had to be paying it for at least 5 years. And after the 5 years, then you could apply to file for bankruptcy for the remaining of balance. But you had to do like the 5 years and show that you were making every effort to pay. So in 90, Congress changed the 5-year payment to 7 years. This meant that even more borrowers had to meet the undue hardship of trying to make these payments if they couldn't. And that went through and was signed by Bush Sr. So there's that. In 98, the 7-year requirement was erased altogether. So now there wasn't even the 7-year rule. You couldn't get out of it no matter what you did. So all federal borrowers had to prove an undue hardship to get their loans discharged, and Clinton signed that. So then we move on to 2005. This is why I call this the slow burn. In 2005, private loan lenders successfully lobbied to have private loans treated the same as federal loans in bankruptcy. So now private and federal loans are all lumped in, and you have to meet those 3 requirements to say that there's some undue hardship for you to ever get out of your student loan. So what this did was, in more than a decade, getting student loans discharged in bankruptcy was nearly impossible. Private lenders and the federal government consistently won in court, and many bankruptcy attorneys refused to even attempt to get student loans discharged. Yeah. So anyway, that's why all these kids are coming out of college with crushing debt under their belts. All right, so I'm going to also put up here, there's a cost of education in the states. And coincidentally, it starts at 80 and goes to 2020. So in the chart, you can see that overall inflation was, in the course of that time period, 80 to 2020, is 285% increase in inflation. Education, books, and supplies, 949% increase over that same time period. And then college tuition fees, 1,246% increase in that same time period. Why? There's no more risk. There's no more risk of the colleges not getting their money because the banks are going to give it to you, because there's no risk to them. They're going to get their money back. There's other factors, obviously. I'm breezing over the top, but these were the big hits from the government that over time just slowly eroded away your ability to afford to pay for college. It's just more of the same. Now, at the same time that Reagan was in office, pushing the money out of Pell and into federal loans, the states started pulling back their funding as well. So that forced the college to cover more costs, which they had to raise the rate. I get all that, but all these different policies lumped together just put fuel on the fire to just send the prices right up through the roof. So anyway, if you read the description, I'm labeling this little video series the slow burn. This is how you get cheated out of your money, and it's the long game, right? The government is not trying to take your money today. They're trying to take your money slowly over the course of a decade. And so the only way they can do that is just passing little things one at a time, put something into one bill here, something in the other, give it a real nice name, so it doesn't look like you're getting hammered. And that's kind of basically how it works. And it's been working that way for a long time. And the government's quite good at it. And a lot of times there's nothing to do but just you have to go along because there's no other choice. I mean, how are you going to pay for a college fund out of your pocket unless there's a golden spoon in the other one? It's just, you got to deal with it. Anyway, this is a series I'm going to start. It's my little series called The Slow Burn, which is how over time the government puts things into law that they say it's trying to help you, but it does the exact opposite. And I don't think it's by mistake. I don't think it's because the lawmakers were stupid and they're well-intending for you to have a better course of life because of it. No, I think it's talks behind the scenes that get these laws pushed through. And you'll see time and time again that after the law gets enacted, surprisingly, some big 1% type company or group benefits from it. And it's never the people that they say it's intended for. It's never the little guy that comes out ahead. It's always the corporation. It's always the bank. It's always the pharmaceutical company. It's someone who is helping out the congressman with his election. So unless you got deep pockets, the government isn't going to help you any more than they have to. Now, if it suits their means, yeah, if it suits their needs, they're going to help you. But if it doesn't, you're out the window. Because there's a general rule when it comes to Congress. So like there's a hierarchy of how things get done. And first is self, second is party, third is donors, and then if you're lucky, you're number 4. You're number 4 on the list of things that got to get done. And they usually stop at 3. So anyway, that's me ranting. I'm going to get back to welding because I've got a bunch of it to do. So appreciate you being here. Give me a subscription if you don't mind. Give me a little like, maybe post a comment. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there smarter than I am that know a lot more about this and maybe have some more explanation as to why things happen the way they happen. And I'm glad to hear it. So I'm looking for the interaction. So anyway, that's my take on the slow burn of how little people in this country, the lower 90%, get screwed somehow. But what do I know? I'm just a gearhead in the garage. Take it easy, guys.